Uh, Mr. Kadam, a very good afternoon, a good day to you.
Good
Uh,
afternoon.
you recently had the inauguration of the the large bearings refurbishment center at Jamshedpur, large size bearings, and that went off quite well. And I'm sure the customers must be responding very well. So, first of all, my first question is on the financial aspect. Your third quarter, July to September 21 revenue was 148.76 crore, uh, registering a growth of a massive 32.7% QOQ, CPLY, and 20.7% higher than Q2 of current year 21. Uh, and your net profit for the quarter was pegged at 17.08 crore, registering a margin of 11.5%. How would you evaluate the performance of your third quarter of CY21? And what is your expectations for Q4 of the current year? So Q3 and Q4 of the current year, what is it likely to be?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. Uh, our third quarter performance has been one of the strongest in this entire year. We kind of registered the record revenue and profitability across almost all the sectors in the period. Even in spite of the chip shortages, the automotive underperformed as an industry, but we were still able to, reach our planned numbers. A lot of various projects and the business wins that we had in the automotive space came to a fruitification, which resulted into a better performance in the quarter. Even in the industrial space, quite a few sectors, particularly we had a strong performance coming from the distribution, good performance coming from the wind. So all helped us to consolidate our leadership position. Of course, we faced huge pressure on the input costs due to the steel price increases, which has been there since the last few quarters. And we have been consistently working with our customers to recover most of it. And not to mention that we had put in some strong countermeasures, which was in the area of overhead cost management. Also, to see what other low-hanging opportunities could be there to manage costs better. Also to look at opportunity sales, which we were able to capitalize in that quarter. So overall, it was kind of a mix of, doing everything, doing the right things and at the same time doing things rightly. Also, what helped us is our portfolio, where we have a diverse portfolio, and that too helped us to sustain the growth momentum. And as you can see, the industrial sector performed almost 41%, whereas the automotive contributed roughly about 38%. So all in all, we outgrew in all the sectors with respect to Q2. And over a 9-month period, again, we have registered a significant growth. So looking at the last 4 quarters consistent performance that we have had, so kind of we have been able to sustain the growth momentum. Hopefully we expect that we will continue in this quarter as well, although the challenges are a little more stiffer in this quarter, with more automotive customers shutting down because of chip shortages. Not to mention that December is a month when many of the customers, particularly the large OEMs, they undertake a maintenance shutdown, as a result of which there is the pressure. But yet we are trying to see how best we can deliver the numbers even in Q4.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kadam. Now, you said that in spite of all the shortcomings of Q4 in terms of shortage, in terms of supply of spares, especially with regard to the current crisis that our automobile sector is going through right now. But at the same time, quite a few new models are being launched by automobile manufacturers. So, do you see that helping you in any way moving forward in the fourth quarter and the first quarter of CY22?
Yes, see, we have been actively working with all the big brands in the automotive space, and we definitely are engaged with them on most of the platforms. And when the transition happened from the diesel engines to the gasoline engines, we had to also shift our product portfolio for products that cater to the gasolines. So while still we are on the path of localizing these products to produce here, we are currently importing some of it from our European plants, but catering to the customers. The good thing is we have kind of get into a very early engagement with our OEM customers, and we start working with them. We engage our R&D teams, which we have the capability here in India, to start engaging with the OEM customers at an early stage, and be it on the passenger vehicles or on the commercial vehicles, or even for that matter on the off highway. One of the areas we work very closely is on the clutch and transmission part of our business, which we have a very strong position in the marketplace as such. So as I said, the quarter 3 performance was riding on a lot of such projects which came to a closure and business realization. Our journey in that effort continues, and we will continue to take up new projects, and we will continue to work on them to take it to a closure. We are also now evaluating, working with our customers on the hybrid platforms that are also emerging, plus the electric vehicles that we now see on the horizon. Although the volumes and numbers are small, but we are also evaluating how can we engage on the emerging new technologies as well.
Well, thanks, Mr. Kadam. Now we'll move on to the next part of our question, which is on the market share between industrial and the automotive segment. So what kind of market share do you have in the industrial segment? And what percentage of revenue does your industrial business division contribute to your entire product portfolio? I mean, though you mentioned about, the third quarter, it was led by the industrial segment. But moving forward, what is it that you see as a, input from the industrial business segment? What kind of growth do you expect, and what kind of market share are you confident of?
If you were to look at our business split, you will find that we have a very fine balance, beautiful balance between the automotive and the industrial space. More or less, both are equally distributed business in terms of turnover. So roughly, I think roughly about 43 to 40, 42 to 43% each. And then you have the aftermarket automotive, which is the rest of the percentage, about 8 to 10%. Now, having said that, since we have this balance, so if the automotive were to underperform for the industry slowdown reasons, and the industrial space is performing well, which exactly what we saw happening. So we continue to do well as such at an overall level. There is a kind of a balancing effect because of our distribution, well-balanced portfolio that we enjoy. So when you look at the industrial business portfolio, we are very strong in that, and specifically in some of the sectors. As I said, in wind, we enjoy a very strong position. We are number one in the wind market when it comes to the wind sector. We are equally strong in the two-wheelers. We are equally strong in the construction equipment and off-road. The raw materials sector, we are very strong. We're also having a very clear focus on growing our aftermarket or the industrial distribution part of the business. Very clear strategy. And one such action, what we have implemented is the refurbishment center as well. So we will continue to strengthen and consolidate our positions in the other sectors as well as we move forward. So we have also seen some significant gains in the railways and the renewables sectors. The machine tool industry, particularly because recently we have invested in a small facility to make customized linear guides for the machine tool industry, and which we just commissioned at the beginning of this year. And I see a strong uptick in demand for the linear guides coming in for us as well. So some of the right investments that we have made is beginning to give us the desired results to help consolidate our market share in the business. Now we have a clear aim that we want to be in the top 2 or 3 positions at the top. We want to be a player at the top where our customers prefer to work with us, and we strongly believe that we can add significant value to our customers there. And because of this concerted efforts that we have been doing with a clear strategy, and in making the right investments as well at the right time, and or aggressive drive on localizing the products. So we want to reduce our import content. While on the raw material side, we have reduced a lot. On the finished product side, we still have some homework to do. We are currently it's work in progress, and industrial rightfully we are pitched to play a very a larger game in the market today.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kadam, once again. In the steel and mining business segment, because both are they have a synergy together, steel and mining together. So how would you evaluate your performance, and what are the specific products which are, for example, let's say if I'm talking about tapered roller bearings or bearing for continuous casting, then application in the hot strip mill. So what are the specific products that your industrial business division consume in the mining and steel segment?
Okay.
Particular products which are used more in the steel plants, though you have the generic bearings as well. But in addition to that, what are specifics when it comes to the steel plants and the mines?
Okay. So typically the steel and the mining segments, operate under very harsh environmental conditions, with all the, all the deterrents and the contaminants that are there, which are actually going to impede the performance of the bearing. And again, the number of equipments, the variety is also quite large. And bearings being the most critical part of the equipments, because they carry the load, they have to withstand severe operating conditions, also the varying temperatures. It operates under extreme conditions, so to say. So our products are designed and engineered to withstand these elements or these forces of environment under which they have to operate. So first thing, they need to be reliable, obviously, and that comes because of the precision classes that we build into the bearing during the manufacturing process. And depending on the application, we have a wide range of standard bearings, but there are also very application specific bearings, particularly in the cylindrical rollers, in the spherical rollers, taper rollers. We have the double row and the 4-row ball bearings as well, which kind of are very niche, and they are customized for the application where the customer wants us to support them with these kind of solutions. So not only the bearings, but we also have a range of other products as well, such as housings, which house the bearings, so to say. And one of the most important element in a bearing for good performance or long performance is grease. And we have our own Arcanol range of greases, which are designed to perform under extreme conditions, operating conditions. Now, these grease that continue to enhance the life of the bearings. And apart from this, of course, there are a host of condition monitoring products under the Industry 4.0. Now, recently we have launched the Industry 4.0 automatic lubrication systems, which are very much applicable into the steel and the mining industries. And this is with a lot of digital technology that comes with it, and automated lubrication at the point of lubricant to be given, at the time of lubrication that is required, and the exact quantity of lubrication that needs to be done. It's completely automated. So apart from that, we also have Optime, which is one of our flagship products when it comes to condition monitoring, which is a beautiful, simple plug and play product for the steel and mining sector. In addition to this, we definitely also offer products such as heating coils. These are expensive induction heating coils, flexible heating coils for large size bearings. We offer them as a service. So as you can see, it's not just the variety of products, but the variety of services as well that we have consistently strived to expand. Now, the refurbishment center under our sustainability campaign is the next step in that direction, because ultimately we are all in business. Obviously, we have a big responsibility towards the climate and the climate change initiatives that we have undertaken. And as I said last month also, that we in Schaeffler, we have made a commitment that by the year 2040, Schaeffler globally will become a completely carbon neutral company. Now, having said that, that's a big responsibility we have taken. So refurbishment also comes in there, because the cost of refurbishing and extending the life of a bearing obviously is very, very small when compared to producing a new bearing itself. So the concept of circular economy is in a way coming into the bearing industry, specifically focused on the steel and mining sector.
Thank you, Mr. Kadam. And just as you mentioned on your decarbonization effort, that's what my next question is exactly all about. On the global platform, Schaeffler has recently developed new technologies for the industrialization of hydrogen products. Could you briefly highlight the recent developments of your hydrogen strategic business unit, which could be a game changer in terms of providing components and services for cost-effective production of hydrogen and other renewable energy sources? How do you think the steel and mining sector would benefit from this? Because a lot of initiatives are being taken right now in the steel segment. If you know of SSAB in Sweden, they've already produced the first batch of steel purely produced using hydrogen as a fuel. So these are the changes which are taking place. Tata Steel is doing a lot of work. A lot of other players in India are effectively looking at using hydrogen as the fuel towards decarbonization effort in production of hydrogen. I mean, in the production of steel, clean steel technology, as they call it. Now, this initiative Schaeffler has also taken up. And if you could briefly highlight what the initiative primarily looks at, and how does a customer, for example, in the steel industry, get to benefit out of this initiative?
Sure. As you all know, the climate change issues have become, kind of over dominate now every aspect of the business. I'm sure every business going forward, every manufacturer will have to look at, running their operations or producing the products, and it has to address the carbon neutrality or the temperature increase targets or reduction targets that we have taken up of 1.5 degrees. Now, having said that, goes without saying that hydrogen is the cleanest fuel for the future, and there's plenty of hydrogen on this planet. The question is to exploit this hydrogen, translate it into usable form of hydrogen to generate clean green power. And that's the direction which Schaeffler as a company, which we have been innovating a number of products in the mechanical and the electromechanical space. On the energy space as well now, we have taken serious footsteps in that direction. And the hydrogen strategic business unit, which has been set up in Schaeffler under the industrial division, closely coordinates with customers in providing components and services that are integral for the cost-effective production of renewable energy, which is used to make hydrogen by the electrolysis process. Now, this strong relationship with the customers in the area of our deep knowledge in the materials, such as materials engineering, metal forming, and not only metal forming, even surface technology, the coating technology, even the electrochemistry that is involved in this process, makes us a strategic partner in the process. Now, additionally, our expertise in the industrialization helps in translating the resulting innovations into large-scale production. As it is, we have been in the space to manufacture components for the fuel cells, primarily for the passenger car segments. So we have some small operations already in Germany and in Japan, wherein we have started to make components for the fuel cells. We have been making them. Now we want to move up the value chain and start getting into subsystem and the system level offering. So industrial production of hydrogen has immense decarbonization benefits, particularly in the steel manufacturing industry, because steel industry is touted as one of the largest polluters or the largest contributor of carbon to the environment. Now, today, manufacturers using coking coal in blast furnace both has a heat source app to even refine the iron, But as we know, the blast furnace and the coke plants are the major producers and carbon emissions, as I said. Now, using hydrogen in the blast furnace instead of coking coal, manufacturers can drastically bring down and reduce their carbon emissions, both in the coke plant and the blast furnace as well. Now, having said that, the technology now is going to accelerate in terms of bringing out how do we convert the hydrogen to the fuel cell and how do we do this. So clearly, the question of manufacturing, this is where Schaeffler's expertise as a developer of new technology for the industrial production of hydrogen through electrolysis process comes into play. Coupled with electricity from renewable sources, this process helps steel manufacturers to achieve the largest cuts in carbon emissions. Now, this initiative definitely helps carbon emission reduction, but also this is a right step in the direction towards our responsibility as an organization to contribute positively for this climate change initiative.
Thank you, Mr. Kadam. Now, one of the things which the steel industry keeps complaining about is that producing hydrogen through electrolysis is still quite expensive, and we need to cut our costs while it comes to production of hydrogen through electrolysis. So that is, I think, one more area which everyone needs to work on these days to ensure that we have, means available to reduce the cost of production of hydrogen, especially in electrolysis method. So with that, we'll come to a very relevant, I would say, a supplement to what you just mentioned. You have tied up with H2 Green Steel, who are your partners, to meet your steel raw material requirement from 2025. To this end, what are your thoughts as far as green steel production in India is concerned? Because ThyssenKrupp is doing a lot of work, SSCP is doing a lot of work. A lot of the European manufacturers are already into it, and the technology providers like Polwork, SMS, they've already put in their efforts. Danelli has recently tied up with Magnitogods or MMK towards this end. Now, in India, how do you see this taking shape to ensure that we have, adequate resources available so that we could meet our green steel production through using hydrogen as an alternate source of fuel?
Sure. See, as I said, sustainable manufacturing and carbon neutral commitments, it's a high priority for Schaeffler. So having said that, the next logical step was to kind of, get into a partnership with H2 Green Steel. And the first orders for 100,000 tons of green steel, is already placed by the year 2025 to source it from them. This definitely is a major step in the direction and will help our supply chain achieve the carbon neutrality. Yes, the price of the steel definitely at its initial stage is always going to be higher, but I'm sure that as the volumes pick up, the costs have to get optimized and it would start to come down. That's always the case with any new product that you tend to bring into the market. Now, the pact we have entered in is also in alignment with our aim to achieve climate neutrality by 2040 and strengthen our position as a preferred technology partner to generate sustainable value. Now, if you see, in this journey, we have scope 1 and 2 and scope 3. Scope 3 is where we talk about our upstream suppliers to be aligned as well. Now, this is exactly a step in the direction we have already started to take, that we would like to work with suppliers and source products from them which are green. So coming to your question on is this going to happen in India? Yes, why not? I guess it's all a matter of time now. So I've been in discussion with some of our esteemed steel manufacturers in the country, and they are alive to the subject. Certainly, they are also getting their heads together to see how this can be done. I guess H2 Green Steel has been one of the pioneers and has set the ball in motion. So certainly, the green steel is going to be the future, and it will take some time, but certainly India is not far off as well. The lack of access coupled with absence of supportive legislation on decarbonization, these were some of the hindrances, but I guess that's going to change soon as well. And with legislation certainly and policy support, industry definitely will start to take bigger steps in that direction.
Right, sir. In fact, just to add to that, not just the BF steelmaking route, but also the DRI EF route, the electric arc furnace route. In fact, a lot of developments are taking place using hydrogen for the DRI, modules as well. So I think there is an all-around effort to ensure that wherever possible, we get to use hydrogen as an alternate fuel. Now, coming back to what we initially started off with, your large scale bearing, large size bearing refurbishment center at Jamshedpur. You started that refurbishment center. The center was inaugurated on the 12th of November, which was not even a month back. And the total area, I believe, is around 10,000 square feet of work, where the workshop is being put up. And particularly for tapered roller bearings and other large bearings primarily used in the steel industry. Could you highlight the details of this refurbishment center and how long the customer has to wait for the refurbishment, and also what advantage the customer would derive by using the services of your refurbishment center at Jamshedpur?
Okay.
And if you could also add if you have plans to put up further refurbishment centers in the days to come.
Sure. So as I said, since we offer a very large, wide, extensive portfolio of our industrial products, and being a leading player in the sector, it was all but necessary that we also extend it beyond and start offering services in our portfolio. Having said that, clearly the big driver here has been the sustainability drive that we are pushing for. And this is the right fit, we believe, to contribute positively towards our agenda to address the climate change initiative. Now, the inauguration, as I said earlier, was done. We have a 10,000 square feet facility that is sitting in Jamshedpur now. And we have partnered with one of our valued distributors, most loyal distributors, and together we want to bring this to services to the market. And the center has the potential and the capability to take the refurbishment from a bearing, as small as 100 millimeter in diameter, going up to large size, even up to 1 meter. Now, having said that, we have already made the necessary investments in the equipments and machinery. The center is already started to function, and what we see is a very strong and a very positive response from the customers. Why did we put the center up in Jamshedpur? Because we felt that the steel and the mining sector, there was a big need to address the need here for refurbishment, and so we put up this center jointly with Premier Bearings. As I said earlier, this particular step is to address our sustainability initiative towards the steel industry, and also it also results in a substantial reduction in maintenance costs or procurement costs to our customer. That's a big value. The cost of buying a new bearing, and these are very expensive bearings, will service, if I were to extend the life by 35 to 40% more, I think bodes well for both the customer and for us as an organization, since both are working towards contributing to the climate change initiatives. So not only that, the industries also benefit in terms of saving valuable resources, carrying of inventory, and quick turnaround time, because normally the time taken to either holding an inventory is expensive, or you book an order and wait for a new bearing that has to come. You need very advanced planning to be done. Whereas refurbishment, on the other hand, as the bearing comes off the rack, can be immediately moved, and we can get down to refurbishing, and within a week or two, the bearing can be back in its place on the machine. Now, this is one of the biggest advantages that we feel, that if couple that with the industry 4.0 solutions that we offer in terms of condition monitoring, I think this can be working as a seamless, well-oiled machine with zero downtimes we can push for as such. So having said that, it is also important that we ensure the quality standards are maintained. So we have ensured that we have put the systems and standards in place for full compliance with the international bearing refurbishment standards. And we have a very clear 6-step process which ensures a healthy, long operating life of large size bearings.
Thank you, Mr. Kadam. When you spoke about maintaining the global standards when it comes to the refurbishment of the bearings, if you could just in a few words explain what kind of machining facilities are available at Jamshedpur, which is at par with, let's say, your standards in Germany that you maintain when it comes to the bearing repairing and refurbishment.
What we have done is there are various levels of refurbishment activities that one carries out when you get into bearing reconditioning. So we have started off with level 2 of operation, which means we clean the bearing. So obviously you need a very thorough inspection, which happens at the beginning, and an assessment that needs to be done. Can this bearing be refurbished? That's the first step in the process, and that's carried out by our experts in the facility. And after that, those bearings which we believe life can be further extended, they are put up for a thorough washing process. So the washing machines have been imported. All the machines that we have put up is the same machines you will find in any of the refurbishment center in the Schaeffler units across the globe. So post the washing, obviously, then we do have light grinding and some super finishing operations that are carried out, and then once again a thorough inspection of the dimensions and the surface quality of the finished parts. They are done, and then we assemble the bearing to ensure that the end assembly do conforms with the required tolerances that was agreed for. So all in all, as you can see, we have ensured that globally we have only one standard of machines that we put up, and the one we have put up in Jamshedpur 2 is no exception to that. The quality systems and standards, the standard operating procedures are all exactly in line with what we have in the rest of the refurbishment center across the world.
Just to, out of curiosity, just wanted to ask you, how many refurbishment centers do you have across the world?
Well, last count, I think we have about 8 or so. This is the first one in India. We do have a small refurbishment center in our plant in Maneja, but that is primarily catering to the railway bearings, the railway sector. For large size, this is the first investment that we have made in India, but I guess we have in every continent, there is a refurbishment center already operating.
Thank you, Mr. Kadam. Now we'll move on to a little bit on the history of Schaeffler, so to say. In 2003, INA, FAG, and LUK came together to form the Schaeffler Group. Could you take us through the journey of Schaeffler so far, and what kind of technology, design, and service support your global headquarters at Junior Rush, Germany, provide you in terms of their support, and what kind of OEM approval from global plant builders like SMS, Primetals, Danelli, the Morgoil bearings, which is so famous in the world, which is now owned by, of course, Primetals. Morgan as a company does not exist anymore. Morgan is now owned by Primetals. So these OEM approvals, what kind of OEM approvals do you have from SMS, Danelli, Primetals, and the other machine builders? And what are the specific advantages of our Schaeffler bearing? I mean, what is your USP, so to say, in terms of service support, energy efficient performance of your bearings, which is so very important today. We're looking at cutting costs. So, and a breakdown of a large size bearing is a huge loss to the plant. So in terms of that, let's say life service support, I would call it life service support because your CBMs that you are talking about, condition-based monitoring and using Industry 4.0. So what kind of strength I would like to ask you, would Schaeffler be able to provide to its customers in the steel and mining industry?
So let me take the first part of the question, which is talking a little about the history of Schaeffler in India. Well, as you know, Schaeffler has three strong brands: INA, FAG, and Look. Now, if you look at INA as a brand, it caters both to the automotive and to the industrial space. FAG predominantly also has a large portfolio in the industrial space, mainly bearings. Look is primarily into clutch and transmissions. Now, FAG has been in India for more than 60 years now. And INA and Look came into India a decade or so back. Now, having said that, they were operating as three different entities. And in the year 2017-18, a decision was taken to merge the two INA and Look entities into FAG. And the name Schaeffler, we went for a name change as well, and Schaeffler India Limited was born. Now, with that, a lot of advantages that we saw that we could leverage. First thing is the synergy that we could bring in with the integration of the three entities. We were able to optimize our resources, obviously, because every entity has its own set of functions and supports and sales, which finally got integrated. So we were able to optimize a lot of it, which definitely helped us in optimizing our costs as well. And not only that, we were also able to now kind of represent to the market, to our customers, as both an industrial and an automotive supplier, a very strong automotive and industrial supplier. Now, having said that, we didn't just merge the three entities, but what we also did was we had a clear strategy that we have to invest into the intellectual capital here in India. And as a result of that, consistently, there have been investments and resource allocations that we have made to enhance the design R&D facilities as well. Not just the engineering centers, but also going a step further in investing into the testing facilities. So currently we have two facilities, one R&D center in Pune and the second one in Hosur. We also have testing centers at each of the locations, with a lot of support coming obviously from our global headquarters in Germany. Now, obviously, when we see with all these kind of technologies support from the group in the area of product development, testing, even supplier development, so to say, and we have built up a strong in-house competence of project managers to run projects, a strong team of application engineers who know the applications thoroughly. And so with the result of this support that we already have put in place, we are closely working with all the leading global players, including SMS, Primetals, and Danieli. Now we have a global as well as the local team of engineers supporting our customers with very deep application knowledge. Need-based, we reach out to the experts sitting in Germany as well, and we do a knowledge transfer that happens to the team in India here. So over the years, as I said, we have consistently invested into technology and continue to enhance our entire product portfolio. Now, talking about the second part where you asked a question about enhancing the performance and the life expectancy of the bearing. Yes, our X-Life range of energy efficient bearings and also the Generation C deep groove ball bearings are some of the excellent options that we have offered to the customer, where the customer has a specific need either to reduce the energy consumption in his application, or one wants enhanced life performance. So we have various levels and categories of engineered solutions. Depending on the need in the specific applications, we offer those solutions.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you with regard to your lubrication systems, which not every customer is as aware as they knew about FAG bearings, so to say. So in the lubrication systems, what is the legacy that you shared in terms of your previous history in this segment? Both for the lubricant, for the grease as well as for the lubrication systems. Was it there in your portfolio right through, or Was it something which came along the way? I mean, from the point of view of history of the company.
Sorry, Mr. Mukherjee, I lost you for almost 40 seconds.
Yeah. I'll just repeat.
Yes.
Coming to the lubrication systems and the
Yes.
greases, which is there in your portfolio.
Yes.
The grease means, I mean, the traditional grease as well as the synthetic greases as well. I'm not too aware what kind of greases really goes with the large size bearings, or for that matter, the normal roller bearings that you use. But both for the lubrication systems and for the lubricants and the greases, uh, in terms of history, how did Schaeffler get the legacy? Was it there in the portfolio right at the beginning? Where are these acquired assets?
Okay. Let me start with Greece. Now, as you know, we have a very strong brand called Arkanol. It's a range of grease that we offer to the steel and mining sector particularly. And this is a very high performing grease which operates effectively under the extreme operating conditions, high load conditions, high temperature conditions. So we have been selling these greases, and these greases are sourced from our plants in Germany. We do not manufacture any grease in India as of now, so we bring them from Germany and we offer it to our customers. It has been very well accepted by our steel and mining customers so far. We continue to offer the Arkanol as a range for extreme operating conditions. On the other hand, we also saw that there is an opportunity here to add value to our customers by offering greases for the plants, or pump and motor equipments and machineries, which are the low to mid range operating conditions. Now here we did launch the Extra 3 grease for the industrial market. And this is a locally developed grease working with our partners here. And we brought this grease out in the year 2019, end of 2019. And we offer that as well to fill the gap for the mid to low end range of applications. So grease as such, this is the story. Coming to the lubrication systems, Schaeffler was not into lubrication systems, but over the years, we have made that our strategy that we would develop intelligent lubrication systems, to our customers. And in the last few years, we have come out with a range of products called Concept 1, Concept 3, Concept 5, and recently Concept 8. Now, these are single point and multi-point lubrication systems, plug and play systems. They work on digital technology. It is not a mechanical, just a mechanical system, but it works with a lot of electronics as well. For the moment, these are sourced from Europe as they are manufactured there. Right now, we have started to talk about it in the marketplace, and we would like to now start offering that. As you know, last year we launched the Optime for the condition monitoring. Now, Concept is the lubrication system is the next product that we would bring to the steel and the mining industry soon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kadam. Now, for let's say the locally manufactured greases, which you do with your local partners, do you also brand them under the brand name Acanol, or is it unbranded?
This is branded as Schaeffler Extra.
Okay.
So it's under the Schaeffler brand name that we are selling it.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to something which you have already covered, but sustainable manufacturing and carbon neutral commitment. These are topics which come up every now and then during our discussion. So I would like to, even at the cost of repetition, I would like to know in terms of your, because this is a priority area for Schaeffler globally. To this end, could you highlight the initiatives taken by Schaeffler in terms of your R&D efforts and sustainable manufacturing technology, which have been initiated both at your headquarters globally and as well as in India? What is it in terms of R&D that you are planning when it comes to using sustainable manufacturing and reducing your carbon footprint, so to say?
Okay. So for Schaeffler, as you know, the core of our business is motion and mobility. Now, having said that, we continue to invest in our R&D and testing competencies over the years. I did already mention that we have two R&D centers, and these are, by the way, DSIR approved centers in India, in Pune and Hosur. Here we carry out a wide range of simulations and product validations, the homologations and testing activities. Now, simulations, which is a very important part and the first step in our engineering and design process, is a critical part because as testing, homologation, validation is an expensive activity and also time consuming. Not to mention, of course, the amount of carbon that you emit when you do these activities. So it is critically important that we get the product when we test it the first time right, which means the simulation and the engineering becomes the most critical and the crucial step in the process. So a lot of energy is spent in this activity to get the design right so that we don't have to go through iterations during our product validation, homologations, and testing activities. That in itself is reinforcing the belief that we lay a lot of emphasis on consuming as minimal and optimum energy as possible when we run our testing and homologation processes. In addition, we are now also investing in a mechatronics center in India, and where engineers from India will support the global sustainable mobility solutions projects. As I'm speaking to you, we already have about 45 engineers, mechatronics engineers, working on various projects for our OEMs across the world. Now we have a clear plan to scale up this number, going up to about 300 engineers who will be working here based in Pune for the entire Schaeffler world. So similarly, on the industrial front, we have local competencies in place that continue to add value for the customers in India. So, as our products enable motion and mobility across the segments, we believe that we have honed our manufacturing excellence as well. We have a program called the MOVE, which we run in our plants. And this is the manufacturing excellence is further built on it through levers of innovation, and sustainability obviously is embedded into everything we do in our manufacturing processes, right from the energy we consume. I think two of our plants already are having complete rooftop solar panels installed. We are working very aggressively towards reaching water neutrality. Yeah. So as as such, it's not just the plant running, but our products also have to, deliver the same objective in terms of, addressing the carbon neutrality requirements. So that's where we are getting into areas where how do we minimize the friction in our products? The less friction the less friction the bearing generates, you consume that much amount of lesser power or lesser fuel, depending on the application. So as such, as I said, so we are also developing the X-Life bearing I talked about already, and the Gen C, which are low friction bearings, which clearly are energy efficient products that we want to bring in. So as you can see, even our manufacturing operations are clearly focused on how can we address the climate change initiatives. Currently, we are on a major transformation process in our plants, wherein we are bringing in a high level of automation. We have started to bring in a lot of robotics into our plant. With this, we expect that we can cut down a lot on waste, and we can also optimize the space utilized to run our operations. So look at it in any which way. This is also opening up opportunities for our people to upskill and adopt to new technologies. A person who was running the machines manually has now to rely on robotics. Obviously, we upskill them. We invest a lot in training and upskilling our operators so that they start taking on bigger responsibilities with the automation that comes with it. Yeah. So obviously, we are also now looking at services as a sector seriously, and to see how can we add value with services as a business, wherein we continue to address the climate change, keeping that objective in mind.
Thank you once again, Mr. Kadam. Now, when you started out with mechatronic packages, which you have introduced, one of the basic, I would say, thought process behind developing these mechatronic packages were, of course, to ensure that you reduce the counterfeit products in the market. Schaeffler bearings, any Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot pick up and sell as Schaeffler bearings. I mean, especially which exists very much in India. Counterfeit market for bearings also exists in India. Now, to this end, have you taken an initiative to ensure that you have a counter check and balance in place to ensure that the counterfeit is uh, virtually not? Of course, you cannot throw it out completely because that's the job of the law agencies. But can you take some efforts to ensure that your branding is proper and a customer gets to know what is a counterfeit and what is the original Schaeffler product?
Sure. Uh, Currently, yes, this is a big challenge in this part of the world, counterfeiting, and the Schaeffler products are no exception. And day in and day out, I see, very interestingly, we did launch engine lubricating oil in our automotive aftermarket. And overnight, we have seen now similar copies of that in the marketplace as well. So obviously, while we are making a lot of concerted efforts to try and address this and counterfeiting by way of working closely with the police and the law enforcement agencies, these are deterrent activities that we are driving. On the other hand, we are also trying to build the brand image of Schaeffler to the front, emphasizing that people should seek genuine products. But you know how it is, unless we have a foolproof technology based solution, you can never nail this to the ground. So having said that, we are not far away from finding a solution to this as well. Currently, there is a project which we are working upon with the latest of digital fingerprint technology, which we are now currently evaluated, and hopefully very soon we will bring this to the market as well. Rightfully, this should act as a major, deterrent to avoid the counterfeiting activities, in the marketplace. So that's one step we have already taken.
Thank you, Mr. Kadam. Now, when we just completed our sustainability issue, now the very important issue which is related to a good corporate citizens presence is, of course, the CSR efforts. And on the CSR front, Schaeffler has adopted quite a few initiatives which I have been reading recently, including your transformation of the Jambua Circle in the city of Baroda, and launching the Social Innovator Fellowship program quite recently. Could you briefly, sort of take us through the journey of CSR initiatives and the skill development which you have also done? That's also a very important step, which have been implemented in the recent past and which you intend to do in the future as well.
See, Schaeffler has been committed to corporate social responsibility activities for many years now. And fundamentally, we are driving this initiative under a program name called as HOPE, wherein it addresses 4 critical areas of need. H being healthcare, and O being occupational skills for employability, and P being preservations of natural heritage and art and culture, and E being empowerment of the society. So under this umbrella program, there have been various initiatives that we have been working with various agencies as well. The mobile health units that we operate in Gujarat and in Maharashtra and in Tamil Nadu. We also are working with an agency for water conservation project in Satara, wherein we have helped a village which was in a arid zone. Now we have started to help them to hold the rainwater that comes in, and we have seen a lot of afforestation efforts also in the process. A lot of improvement happening in this initiative as well. Look at occupational skills for employability. One of our flagship program is Nitara, which we run for underprivileged girls and women. Uh, we run beautician courses and then empower them with equipment so that they can start to run the beautician courses and also earn their income through this mechanism. Also, we do not want to forget where do we come from, or his heritage and culture and the history. So as a result of that, one such initiative is called Quest on Wheels, which we run in Baroda. And this is fundamentally a bus with having a lot of information, touch and feel, video displays about the art, heritage, and culture. And and the bus goes around to the schools and engaging the students. So that's another initiative that is working very well for us. And also we have a program called the STEP program, which is a skill development program focusing on some of the emerging courses like mechatronics. This is to in our direction of empowering the society to get employment as such. So these are continuing, and in addition to that, we also work towards investing and beautifying the area around where we operate. So the Jamboa Circle in the city of Baroda was one example. We are now working with the Talegaon plant here as such to also beautify the surroundings there as well, because ultimately we want to make the place around which we operate beautiful and good to live and work. So that's our initiative.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kadam. I mean, it's great to see Schaeffler, which has played such an important role in the CSR development, not only with regard to your own employees, but for the community as a whole, and in various areas where you operate. So with that, it's been a very enriching last 1 hour that you've spent with us. We finally come to the very last part of our interview. As the managing director and CEO of Schaeffler India, what are your suggestions and recommendations to your customers in Indian steel industry? As far as, like I mentioned about the counterfeit part, what is your suggestions to Indian steel industry as far as selection criteria for energy efficient, high performance bearings are concerned? So what is it the customer should keep in mind? How do you think Schaeffler India could emerge as a life cycle partner for the Indian steel industry? And how optimistic are you in terms of being a market leader as far as industrial bearings are concerned? I would also like to know what is your vision for the company in the next 5 years? And do you have any expansion plans for the next couple of years?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. Quite a lot of questions in the last one. I will try and do justice to it. As I said, clearly, we are a company that's clearly focused on ESG, which is environment, social, and governance causes. We want to be known as a company that delivers results to the stakeholders, not just by achieving what we have set out to achieve, but also clearly keeping an important focus on how are we achieving those, clearly addressing the environmental needs, the social needs, and the governance need as an ethical organization. We are very clearly focused on that. Having said that, we are already on our way on that journey, and we have started to take steps in that direction to address all the 3 areas. Coming to the expansion, which is one of the key elements here for growth, certainly the Savli plant in Gujarat is already, we have expanded and we have added additional buildings now. The machines have also started to come in. Now that setup is going to be a very important play and very important role in our export program, a clear strategy that we have set out to achieve. We will continue to grow exports phenomenally from this plant, and in that direction, appropriate investments are also being made. Clearly, some of the product lines we see, India has big advantages when it comes to be manufactured in India and exported to the rest of the world, and that's exactly what we are doing at Savli. Another development is recently we also announced we signed an MOU with the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. I was there along with my CFO. And we have now signed up a MOU for setting up a new greenfield project in the state of Tamil Nadu, close to Hosur. We already have a plant in Hosur, but this is going to be an additional new plant, which means further capacity expansion. As the current plant, we do not have any more space to expand. So clearly our commitment that India is playing an important role in the entire Schaeffler world portfolio is clear with the investments that we have started to make. But coming back to specifics as well on the industrial business, as I said, the technology investments are happening. Clear focus on developing the intellectual capital is also happening. I talked about the mechatronics, and very soon we will start to leverage this, facilities to the customers in India as well. And having said that, when you look at the steel industry in particular, we have rich experience of working in the steel industry across the geographies. And we have developed specific solutions for demanding and critical applications. And over the years, we have consistently demonstrated across various sectors to emerge as a leading preferred supplier with all the technical expertise that we have. And we have been making critical products for the mobility segment and motion, both in the steel and in the mining sector as such. Having said that, our objective here to these specific sectors, which I would say is to maximize their productivity. So which means our bearings have to perform to the best. Plus, just bearing performing is not good enough. We need to bring in and integrate intelligent solutions, which here I'm talking about the Industry 4.0 solutions, offerings like the condition monitoring, uptime, the concept lubrication systems. We are already, working very closely with our customers in managing their machine uptimes in their roll shop mills. We get into contracts already in machine uptime managing with all our steel customers. We are doing it already. Now, how do we take this to the next higher level is by integration of the intelligent technologies that are emerging, like Industry 4.0, which is based on IoT and AI. And that's an area where we have now started to also invest and focus and develop further so that we bring this value to our customers. So, not to mention, of course, on the sides, we have also set up the refurbishment center. And our plan is there, definitely we want to expand further the refurbishment footprint across India as well, so that with a clear objective of addressing our sustainability drive and our commitment towards carbon neutrality.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kadam. And so end of the day, I can easily conclude by saying that, what the customer benefits is what you recommend. What the customer, end of the day, their performance, whether it is in terms of condition-based monitoring or whether it is in terms of performance guarantee. So the customer's benefit is what you recommend to the customer. So with that, thank you so much for giving us so much of time for more than an hour with us. And it's been fascinating going through the journey of Schaeffler. And we wish you all the best. And I'm sure Schaeffler would become a flagship player in the bearing segment, especially for the industrial and the steel industry for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you so much. You too. Have an excellent day.